Jazz Parks.
Good evening. Thank you. Schmidt.
That's right. We'll place. I'm taking the place of President Feaster this evening. He was not able to make it. I would like a trustee, hopefully Trustee Wilkerson, to read the land acknowledgement. Begin our month off.
Certainly. We acknowledge that the Ann Arbor Public Schools District occupies the ancestral, traditional, and contemporary lands of the Anishinaabeg, Three Fires Confederacy, the Odawa, Ojibwe, and Potawatomi. The taking of this land was formalized in a process alien to Native cultures by the Treaty of Detroit in 1807. The Ann Arbor Public Schools recognizes that many other Native peoples lived on this land at different times, including the Fox, Sauk, Shawnee, Kickapoo, Miami, Muscatoon, and Cherokee, many of whom were forcefully removed from their homelands. Acknowledgement by itself is a small gesture and does not exist in the past or solely in a historical context. Colonialism is a current ongoing process, and we understand our responsibility in educating students about our participation. We further recognize the ongoing relationship and dependence upon and respect for all living beings of earth, sky, and water. It is our responsibility to care for this land, and we honor, with our deepest gratitude, the Native peoples who have and will continue to steward it for generations.
Thank you, Trustee. We are in item 2, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Wilkes, second by Trustee Wilkerson. Any discussion? Okay, let's take a vote, please.
Trustee Bascat?
Yes.
Vice President Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Wilkerson?
Yes.
Trustee Wilkins?
Yes.
Trustee Wilkes?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, great. Item 3, we have special commentary. Has our person come in? Great. I'd like to introduce this evening Miss Brenda Pilgrim. She is the Michigan Association of School Boards Assistant Director of Government Relations. We've invited her to come speak on the budget, the state budget, and the legislation that will affect that's affecting our school districts. Any other legislation she wants to talk about besides the budget. So she's coming in by Zoom. So Miss Pilgrim, as soon as we have you up, welcome to our meeting. Hi.
Thank you so much for having me. Not a lot of news that I have for you guys right now. The biggest issue is the budget. We do not have a budget. We do not foresee having a budget anytime soon. There has not been a great deal of communication between the House, the Senate, and that of the governor. There is one budget that has been put forth by the House, and in comparison to what the numbers we're seeing in the Senate is miles and miles and miles apart. So we're really not sure what that's going to look like. I would ask you to continue to pressure your electeds and contact them and ask them about moving the budget. The other issue too, budget-wise, is that the federal budget is also looking at a possible budget shutdown in October 1st, and we don't know what that's going to look like either. I was just in DC yesterday, as a matter of fact, and no one has been able to come up with any kind of answer to what the federal budget will look like, what education will look like, or what title funding will also look like. Those are the biggest pieces that we're moving on right now. Other than that, there has not been a lot of legislation moving. The House did pass House Bill 4024, which goes over the rules of having students use the restroom of their original birth identification. So whatever sex they were born with at, they will need to use that restroom. That's the one bill that they have managed to move out of the House and have sent to the Senate. But other than that, there hasn't been a lot of things moving. I wish I had some better news for you. I wish I could give you some more direction, but that's basically where we are within the legislature at this moment. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have about the budget or about any upcoming legislation. But basically, until we have the budget, we're kind of at a standstill right now in Lansing.
Could you address to the board, we have a couple of fairly new board members, that the professional organization, what their role is and how you arrive at where you take a stance on different issues? Because your membership, that sort of thing.
Our membership are the drivers of any issues that we take up or that we disagree with. And the way that's done is we have a group of members, which are part of the Government Relations Committee, and we will bring legislation to them and give them a explanation of what's going on, how it will affect the school system or the school board or children in general. So we could bring things as education-based as you would expect in the classroom, but there are also things that we bring that may be tax-based, changes in tax law that will affect funding. Anything along those lines are also presented to the Government Relations Committee. The Government Relations Committee then votes on whether they support or not support, or whether they would support if there were changes or if there were alterations to the bill. Once that decision is made, then our recommendations from the Government Relations Committee is sent to the full board and they take the final vote on it.
Thank you. And we have Trustee Basquette. I believe you're our representative right now on that group. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you. I represent, I've chosen from Region 7, and which are various districts in that particular region. I won't bore you with the details. So yes, thank you. And welcome, Ms. Pilgrim.
Thank you.
Just want to let you know that trustees, if you have not opened up your mailbox, I went ahead and forwarded to you the pending legislation that the committee will be reviewing this Friday. So I know some of you have dived into it and may have questions regarding that. But again, the committee has not met to give a recommendation. And as Ms. Pilgrim said, the committee meets to recommend to the Board of Directors of the MESB, Michigan Association of School Boards. Of course, they can override us, if you will, veto our recommendation, and they have in the past. But, you know, so I'm not sure where we can add any light regarding the current pending legislation. But again, I wanted you all to have it so that if you want to provide feedback to us now or ask questions of Ms. Pilgrim, you may do so more informed. That will.
Well, I actually did have a question. Hi, Ms. Pilgrim, Trustee Wilkes here. I had a question regarding one of the pending legislation in the Senate regarding class size maximum and funding. So, but again, the MASB hasn't, the government, what is it? The
Government Relations
Committee hasn't made any type of recommendation as of yet. Do you have any idea how the committee might vote on this, how they're leaning?
I don't know what, I can't speak for them at this time. I do know that it was discussed at our last meeting. The issue is that we are not anti-class size, nor do we think it's a bad idea to have 19 or less students. The issue is that these would be specifically grant funds. So there would be a limited amount of money to support the project. There would be 4 districts, Benton Harbor being one, and Flint and Detroit, and I don't remember the last one, forgive me, who would automatically receive these funds. These funds are grant generated. So our question is are these new funds, or are we robbing Peter to pay Paul? Are we moving a line item to a different line item? So we're not really sure about that. And we're trying to get clarification on that so that we can give the Government Relations Committee some exact numbers so that they know where these dollars are coming from. That's the challenge.
If I may, Trustee Wilkes, the challenge that some of us had on the committee is we have no budget for the big budget for, you know, operating our school districts, period. And yet the recommendation from this legislation is to carve out this amount of money one time, as we understand at the last meeting. It's a one-time thing. It would be competitive. So not everybody will be able to get this money. And as Ms. Pilgrim said, the 4 districts, I believe Muskegon may have been the last one, but they will automatically get it. And again, no trustee on this committee, is not supportive of smaller classrooms. It's just, number one, how do we afford it with a budget that the state has not granted us yet? So we were just a little miffed on that point. But
And it is a challenge because, again, what we want is something that is sustainable. We don't want to start something where we have small class sizes and we can afford to do that for 1 year and then it stops.
Right.
There is no continuation. There isn't a long-term plan as of yet for this funding.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Pilgrim? Okay, great. Well, one thing that what I understand about MASB is that you do have a lot of different schools that you represent, rural
Yes.
and more suburban and inner city, et cetera. And not always the stance that MASB takes would necessarily be something we would agree with as a group or as individuals. I know that the literacy legislation was not supported by MASB, but I'm hoping that, it did pass. And now we're fighting like to tooth and nail through the budget process now to make sure that continual funding to make that a reality across the state will have huge impacts on all schools, including our district. We've already put the money forward for materials, but going forward, I'm hoping those monies will continue to be there for our budget.
And again,
So-
that is the challenge right now that every school district is facing is they don't know what the budget will look like, what funding will be, and what. So it's very vacuous. It's very difficult right now. And until we get some kind of numbers, there's nothing that we can say. It's not even to the point now where we could say that we could find middle ground between what is in the House and what is in the Senate. They're so far apart that we can't even begin to guess how this funding will move forward.
Wow. Thank you for your hard work. Any final questions, comments? Okay, thanks for taking your time this evening to meet with us. It's excellent. I'm really glad that we have representation on that one committee to help bring our voice to the discussion.
And please do not hesitate to reach out to me. And if you have any questions or if I can be of any assistance, things come up quickly and I will do my best to find you the answers that you need.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, if we can move on to item number 4, public commentary. Ms. Osinski, how many signups do we have this evening?
We have no signups this evening.
Okay. And let's move on to item 5, community feedback. There is a document available in our agenda and available, I'd like to call attention to the trustees. This is community feedback that people have done in writing, and we have access to that, and so does the public. So remember, you can check that to get information from the public about things they are concerned about. Those are not read at our meetings, but we have access to those. Number 6, reports of associations. Ms. Osinski, do we have a report tonight?
We do. Mr. Klein is coming forward for
Okay.
the AEA.
All right, welcome.
how are you?
So good evening, trustees, Superintendent Parks, Ann Arbor Public Schools community. My name is Fred Klein. I'm in my 36th year here in the Ann Arbor Public Schools, and I love the excitement of the beginning of a school year. So I've been visiting buildings, and I'm happy to say that it's been a joy visiting buildings in these first few weeks. The buildings are looking polished and welcoming. I've had the pleasure of witnessing the incredible work our teachers are doing to establish routines and procedures with their students. The energy and commitment of our staff are inspiring, and it sets a positive tone for the year ahead. We've received a lot of positive feedback again on our calendar, the Ann Arbor Public Schools calendar this year, from staff, from students and parents. The decision to begin the year with a half day on the first day was very well received and contributed to a smooth and successful start. Additionally, the change to full-day PD sessions is really appreciated by staff and parents alike because it eliminates those logistical challenges that came with those early release days. So positives there too. There continues to be strong support for our relatively new fall break. This time is seen as both necessary and beneficial for staff and students, helping everyone recharge during this demanding stretch of the school year. Quick bargaining update. I'm going to be very brief because I know you've been in meetings all afternoon. So a bargaining update. Our bargaining teams mutually agreed to pause negotiations during the month of July. We resumed full table bargaining with the district on August 4th and August 18th. During the August 4th session, we reached a tentative memorandum of agreement, or MOA, regarding parent-teacher conferences. So the draft is now complete, and we plan to share it with our membership this week. On September 3rd, AAEA leadership and the A2 virtual representative met with the district to finalize the MOA for the virtual program. Significant progress was made, and we are optimistic about finalizing that MOA at our next meeting on the 17th of September. Our AAEA bargaining team is meeting just ourselves next Tuesday to prepare for our upcoming bargaining session with the district on September 24th. This session will take place at our new office from 9:30 to 3:30 on that date, on the 24th. Of course, we're closely monitoring contract settlements in neighboring districts. Notably, Saline recently settled a 2-year agreement that includes a 5% raise this year and a 4% raise next year. If we are serious about attracting and retaining high-quality educators, we must ensure that our salary schedule remains competitive and that we adopt a more equitable healthcare cost-sharing formula. This bargain, now is the time to make those changes. Lastly, we're excited to share that we successfully have moved into our new larger office space. That's at 3891 Ranchero Drive, so kind of over by Costco. We're settling in well and invite you to stop by during business hours to visit our new location. Thank you for the time. We look forward to working together in service of our students and staff and the Ann Arbor Public Schools community. Good night.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go to item 7, community group reports. Ms. Osinski, do we have any groups that signed up for this evening?
No community group reports tonight.
Okay. Board committee reports. The only committee I have listed here is the executive committee, and I can always count on my fellow trustee Wilkerson to talk about that committee meeting.
Yes, it was another quick committee meeting. Just looking back for the date on that. The Friday?
Doesn't matter. We met.
I believe it was last Friday.
It was Friday.
It was a quick meeting where we set the agenda for this meeting and then also tentative agenda for the 17th as well. Very effective and efficient.
Thank you very much. And item 9 on our agenda, information. I would like to turn this over to Superintendent Parks to give a superintendent update, please.
Vice President, I appreciate the opportunity to provide an update this evening. We have some observances and good news to share, as well as some updates and information items on several areas that we want to bring forward, some by trustee request and others just information that we think it's important to share and know. So we'll start out with our observances and good news. Patriot Day is tomorrow, September 11th. It's a national day of service and remembrance to honor the nearly 3,000 Americans who lost their lives in the terrorist attacks of September 11th, 2001. We also take this time to honor the heroism of first responders and others who performed extraordinary acts of courage and sacrifice. Today, our thoughts are with them, their families, and their communities. Beginning Monday, September 15th through October 15th, we will be recognizing National Hispanic Heritage Month. History, Heritage, Hope is the unifying theme for this year's observances. In the Ann Arbor Public Schools, we honor and celebrate the valued contributions of Hispanic Americans on every day of the school year. This month of this special celebration provides an opportunity to listen and learn even more deeply about the rich diversity within the Hispanic communities and the strong connections to all areas of our culture, literature, and history. And we'll move on to some great news. The National Merit semifinalists. The Ann Arbor Public Schools congratulates 52 students who have been named semifinalists in the 2026 National Merit Scholarship Program. This year, the Ann Arbor Public Schools accounts for 11% of the approximately 475 students in Michigan selected for this honor. To become a finalist, the semifinalist in his or her high school must submit a detailed scholarship application. They provide information about the academic record of the semifinalists, participation in school and community activities, demonstrated leadership abilities, employment, and honors and awards received. A semifinalist must have an outstanding academic record throughout high school, be endorsed and recommended by a high school official, write an essay, and earn SAT scores that confirm the student's earlier performance on the qualifying test. The names of the 2026 semifinalists from Ann Arbor Public Schools will be posted in the AAPS Weekly Update on Friday. Also, some good news. The recently released U.S. News 2025-26 Best High School Rankings again demonstrate the quality education and experience and performance of the Ann Arbor Public Schools high schools. In the latest rankings, Skyline High School placed 14th in Michigan, and 4 AAPS high schools have achieved top 60 rankings in Michigan in the U.S. News 2024 Best High School Rankings. The U.S. News Best High School Rankings includes data on more than 24,000 public high schools in 50 states in the District of Columbia. Nearly 18,000 schools were ranked on 6 factors based on their performance on state assessments and how well they prepare students for college. Ann Arbor high schools continue the trend of high achievement in this rigorous national comparative assessment of high school programs. So in this latest ranking, again, AAPS Skyline High School placed 14th in Michigan, also earning high marks for the state. Ann Arbor Public Schools Pioneer High School ranked 16th, Community High School ranked 44th, and Huron High School placed 59th in Michigan. So congratulations to our AAPS students, teachers and staff, parents and community on these incredible achievements.
Good job.
Next, we'll go on to some updated information items. Trustees, we've been working on the past few weeks in collaboration over superintendent goals for this school year. And so at this time, having had no further changes from the last time we discussed it, just wanted to share what the goals are for this school year. Goals focused on student growth and achievement. I will be continuing to oversee the implementation of our targeted initiatives that promote increased academic growth and achievement for all students, in particular in our 5 traditionally underserved student groups, which are our Black students, our Latino students, our economically disadvantaged students, our students who receive special education services, and our English language learners. An additional goal is for the Board of Education and the superintendent to enhance the effectiveness of the governance structure by doing several things, engaging in the professional learning opportunities. We have one coming up at the end of this month that we are all participating in. We're working on communication systems and establishing some clear processes amongst us as a governance team. The third goal is around communication and utilizing communication tools and efforts to improve the clarity of the information that we provide with our students, our families, our staff, and our broader community. And lastly, fiscal responsibility. We will continue to responsibly and effectively manage our fiscal resources to continue to make progress towards improved fiscal stability. So those are the superintendent's goals along with the Board of Education for the school year. Next, we will move on to an update on a few areas, childcare, professional learning, and the Skyline High School cell phone pilot. So we're going to start with Ms. Bacalor bringing forward an update on childcare.
Good evening, trustees and Superintendent Parks. Well, so I'm happy to give an update on Rec and Ed before and after care. I'll start with aftercare, then move to before care. So this fall, we have aftercare for 16 elementary schools. And so that means that all elementary schools are covered because 3 of our schools have childcare offered by an outside entity. Students at 3 of our 16 are bused to a location, a program site at a nearby school. So our total number of program sites is 13. These combined programs have been a great solution for schools with low enrollment in aftercare, and I want to thank our district transportation department for making this possible. To cover our costs at each aftercare program site, we need a minimum of 22 students who are full pay Monday through Friday. We do offer scholarships, and we have a discount for students who are enrolled full-time. At this time, of these 13 program sites, 11 have met the minimum and 2 are under the minimum. We do have some programs that are full with wait lists, and we've been adding staff and getting students off those wait lists as soon as we can. So I know that there was a question about the A2 STEAM aftercare program at the last board meeting, and I wanted to give an update on that. Based on parent requests for aftercare, we worked with school administration to survey parent interest in either part-time or full-time care. Over 100 parents responded to that survey, and they expressed interest in registering 70 students in full-time care and 66 students for part-time care. So we opened registration, and so far we have 8 full-time students and 7 part-time students registered. And this is what we see sometimes is a strong demand, but then not as much actual registration in a program. And of course, we know that by starting a little bit later in the year, some families have gone ahead and made other plans, but we do need to have some more enrollment to be able to open that program and cover our costs. Moving on to before care, there is a long-term trend in kind of declining interest in before care that continues this year. So what we did was for all 13 of our program sites, we offered before care. We said, come on in, and we just saw how many had 12, the equivalent of 12 full-time students. So we had a couple of schools where only 1 or 2 families were interested. So what we did was move ahead with 9 before care programs to start the school year. Unfortunately, 3 of them have already dropped below minimum enrollment. We are also adding a program at Dickin next Tuesday, which will bring us up to 10 programs. So in summary, we have space available right now in several of our aftercare and almost all of our before care sites. We have more information available at aareced.com, clicking on the before and aftercare menu at the top. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
I have a question. So the ones, the aftercare that were just under, could you advertise them here and tell us so that people are aware that we need them to push it over the top there?
Absolutely. So our aftercare sites that are open, well, it's easier if I just tell you where we have spots.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
So we have availability at Allen, before and after care, Angel, before care, Spa, before care, Fry Pattongill, after care, Carpenter, before and after care, Dickin, before and after care, Eberwhite, before care, and they're just at, no, we can take a couple more at Eberwhite after care as well. Lakewood, before and after care, Logan, before care, the Pittsfield, combined Pittsfield-Mitchell program, aftercare, and that is it.
Okay. So, and I don't question your ability to advertise. I'm just curious if you send it out on these. So there's mom groups, which, you know, my kids are grown, so I'm not in the mom groups, but do we get into those groups to make sure that, I know people are just so busy. It's like, where do they find,
Yeah.
how do we find them? There's no newspaper anymore. I mean, what do you do with that?
Yeah. We have a multi-part marketing campaign that began in the spring and just continues forward. That involves both paid advertisement, lots of communication within the school district from principals, from us. We just have so much marketing.
Okay, yeah.
We
and it's
really
just-
do.
I think it was shocking though, and I don't know if all of you felt the same way, that when you do the survey and it was like in the 100, whatever, and then 8 people. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, that's a huge difference.
Yeah, we were surprised too, but we're hoping, the registration period goes for, I think, maybe a week more. So we're hoping that that sense of urgency that we felt from some parents leads to more parents registering.
What happens if you're out of sight and you're right now going, and then, I'm sorry, do we find a place for them to be able to hop to another school? Or how does that work?
It's easier. It's really impossible for us to do that for before care
Okay,
because of the way the schedule works and busing and everything. It's
Sure.
It's full. But for aftercare, there is a little bit more wiggle room there. The last thing we want to do is close a program in the middle. But we also know that this area of Rec and Ed has run in deficit for 2 years because we've been propping up these low enrolled programs.
got it. Any other
Speak a little
questions?
closer, Ms. Bacalor.
Sorry?
Trustee Beskett? Yeah, Trustee Beskett?
So do we have any idea regarding, you mentioned there's been a declining interest in before care. Any idea as to why have parents resolved the issue elsewhere? Is it our tuition that we charge, the quality of service? Can you speak to that, please?
Sure. Our parent evaluations, our parent feedback is always really positive. When there is a problem at a site, the staff work very quickly to resolve anything that's going on with the parent. So, and our manager has done a lot to keep program quality at a high level with different curriculum and all kinds of stuff happening in the aftercare program. I think that the nature of work has changed, and there are more parents with flexibility in the mornings to be able to get their kids to school in a different way than, we used to have before care programs that had 40 kids, 40, 50 kids. And we have about 30 at one school, and the rest of them are very low. So, and we do price comparisons at least once a year, and we're average or low for what we offer.
And then could you speak to the outside entity? That's always been a challenge for me. I believe the stats that you gave have to do only with our
Yes.
program. Do we have any data on the outside entities? And we get that data. I'm particularly interested in the tuition, and are they seeing the same declining interest in the before care?
We do have data. That was another thing that we collect periodically. I don't have that with me tonight,
I understand.
but I'd be happy to provide what we have.
Yeah, and again, for those trustees who are interested, we can have definitely an offline conversation regarding the history and sustaining those relationships. Ms. Bacalor, again, has been with us a long time and understand my concerns. We just have to, again, if it's a board's decision to look more into that, those relationships. Helpful. Thank you.
I just had one quick question regarding the 70 parents who at A2 STEAM who expressed interest in the, I guess it was aftercare, and you currently have 8 enrolled. Is that what you said?
Yes.
So what exactly was the survey was were they indicating that they needed after-school care in that survey? I'm assuming that's what it was saying.
Yes, that's what it asked for, and it asked for, kind of gave some information about the program times and said either full-time or part-time care. So we advertised the survey, and so did the school administration, as being, tell us if you're actually interested. And there were a few parents who said, I'm not interested now, but I would be next fall or maybe in January. And I did not include those students in the numbers that I shared tonight.
Okay. All right, thank you. That might explain it, because it just seems like there was some urgency at the last meeting, but.
Trustee Wilkerson?
Yeah, I have a couple of follow-up questions on that. The survey specifically, when did we send that out?
It was a couple weeks ago.
Before school, or was it after?
No, it was after school started.
Okay. All right, and then I assume we have followed up directly with those 70 that indicated they would like to.
Yeah, in fact, our child care secretary has been calling families. So there will be more follow-up, of course, because if we get down to the line, get down to a point where we don't have enough students, we will do another push, which we always do, because we have planned to provide this program. We want to provide the program. So we're not just going to let it drift away, in other words.
And what is the planned target date to set up that program?
The target date is September 30th, which is really soon. So we really have been working behind the scenes, full bore, getting, we've kept the license there this whole time so that we could quickly open if we needed to. So getting all the supplies and getting the space ready, all of that is happening. We just need to have enough kids.
Okay, thanks. On the numbers you provided, you said 16 elementary schools have that. Does that, I assume that includes STEAM. Does that include open?
So STEAM, we don't count that as an elementary school. We count it as a K-8, right?
Okay, so it's not included in those. Okay, and then does Bryant and Pattongill both offer? Because I think do we have 19 elementary schools?
Right, yes. So we have Bryant and Pattongill are one of our combined programs, and it is actually very low right now. So we're trying to get more interested there as well.
Okay, yeah, and Trustee Beska, I'm interested in those 3 outside entities as well.
Let's have coffee. Talk.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, Ms. Bacalor.
thank you.
All right. We have Ms. Linden coming with some information on professional learning.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor and pleasure to be here this evening, Superintendent Parks and trustees. As we bring forward the brief presentation, I'll give you a brief introduction. We have, as far as I recall, not shared a report or an update like this with you in the past. We're very excited to do so this evening. As Fred Klein mentioned, we made some changes in the calendar in response to the needs that were expressed to us from our community and from our educators, and we changed our early release professional learning model to 2 full days in the school year. And it's been a really positive change all around. Our first is coming up on September 29th. That is a full day learning day. We often get asked, why is that necessary? Why do teachers need professional learning days? So it's just very important for our community to understand that, particularly in a world that is rapidly changing the way ours is, we must continually adapt in order to meet the needs of our students and learn how they learn best and the tools that they learn best with. And we are very proud of the Ann Arbor Public Schools and the continuous learning mindset that we have here So we are continuously reflecting, adapting, and growing. And to do that, we need time together. So that is one of the major reasons we do professional learning. We're very excited this evening to share with you the focus. 1 and 2 are our foci this year. And then we'll end today with a brief overview of what the year's professional learning pathway looks like. And I will just recognize Ms. Casey Elmore is one of our administrators who's been part of the development team for this work. We have 6 administrators representing elementary, middle, and high who have worked together with some consultants and really digging into research to help identify what we believe, based on root cause analyses, will produce more impact on student achievement this year. So here we go. This is just a shot of the overview of Charlotte Danielson's framework for teaching. This is a tool that was developed to identify all the elements that go into successful teaching and learning. It has 4 domains that you'll see here. Beneath each domain, there are actually 22 components. They're not all listed here, they're summarized, and there are 76 elements. We have paraphrased for you here, but our foci this year are in domain 2, and then elements of domains 1 and 3. So domain 1, our focus is on the instructional components, the planning of coherent instruction. In domain 3, it is really focused on what will get us the most student engagement. And our focus in domain 2 is primarily on the relationships and routines in the classroom. Next slide. Here you will see that the benefits of having a domain 2 focus on strong relationships are many, but these are just to name a few. And you'll see here the top 2 are improvements in academic performance and increased engagement, which is really what we'd like to see. Obviously, these other elements are incredibly important as well, and they are connected to our work in domain 2 in both relationships and routines. Next slide. And Dr. James Comer, who is a child psychiatrist with Yale University, he's written several books. Many of you have probably read his work. One of his quotes is, "There can be no significant learning without significant relationships." And so this is something we know, that relationships and a safe environment are the gateway elements to student learning. Without those, student learning is really challenging. So let's talk about what matters most. There's been a lot of research on what effective teaching and learning looks like. And in the work of John Hattie, he has analyzed over 252 factors that impact student achievement. And the 3 that we are focused on this year, you'll see off to the right: relationships, teacher clarity in the form of learning intentions, and success criteria. Those 3 elements are all above a 0.7 impact. And just to orient you to this slide, any particular strategy above a 0.4 is considered highly impactful on student achievement. That 0.4 designation represents 1 year's worth of growth. So anything that falls below 0.4 is actually not impacting an improvement in student achievement. So you may be surprised to learn that homework is a 0.29 impact. So I share this just to say that these are not just buzzwords or good ideas that we came up with one day. They are actually deeply connected to research and how it impacts how students learn and engage in classrooms. Down at the bottom, hiding there, is collective efficacy. And this is representative of teachers who come together to collaborate in addressing both the strengths of students and the needs of students, and sharing their work together, sharing their successes together, building upon the successes, sharing effective practice. All of those elements which traditionally exist inside a PLC or a professional learning community lead to something called collective efficacy, the sense that together we are making a difference. And that has a 1.57 impact on student achievement. So it is by far one of the most important things we do, is to provide teachers time to come together, collaborate, share practice, talk together, and engage. Next slide. So it's so impactful because we know that if we do this well, our students will become more actively engaged in their learning. Some ways they do that are by setting learning goals and being able to accurately judge their own progress. So next slide shows you a little bit about student engagement. So this is Amy Berry's student engagement continuum. On the left side in the red box are what we call disengagement elements. So students who are disengaged in learning may be disruptive, they may withdraw. There certainly could be off task or looking for other things to entertain themselves, maybe just quietly daydreaming. That's called disengagement. On the right side, that's where we want to be in the green box. We want to see active engagement. These are students actively asking questions, participating with the class, valuing their learning, setting goals for themselves, sharing feedback, and self-assessing. We can't get to the active side of this if students don't know where they're going and how they're going to get there and whether or not they've met the goals. So that's why the second part of this, domains 1 and 3, are so important. Next, you'll just see some research. This is from Teacher Clarity work, and this is Antonetti and Garner's study they did after viewing and interviewing students in 12,000 classrooms. And what they found was, after asking students, could they articulate what they were doing, 93% of students could do that. Next slide, when they were asked, could they articulate what they were learning, that number dropped to 33%. They were doing the activity, but they really didn't know what they were doing, just doing it. Next. When they asked why the learning was important, only 9% could share why what they were learning was important. And finally, what successful learning looked like drops to 4%. So students cannot fully engage if they do not know what they're learning, why they're learning it, and whether or not they've learned it. That is why we're zeroing in here. Now, again, I just want to reiterate, this is not Ann Arbor public school teachers or students. This survey was done nationally, did not involve us. We have some amazing teachers in our district. And we also want our students to be at 100% when asked, what does successful learning look like? They should be able to articulate that. So we're working hard. And together, we have endeavored into this Teacher Clarity Playbook, which I have shared a copy with all of you. So you're welcome to take that with you. Go ahead and browse through it. This is our handbook for developing clarity. And in addition to that, we've provided our administrators with this visible learning book. This is what we call the power pack of strategies that have the highest impact on student achievement. And the first 2 sections of this are about Domain 1, relationships and routines. And the second section right after that is on teacher clarity and success criteria. So as we zero in on these, the first thing we need to do is understand the standards, which really define what we should be teaching. So we should all be able to articulate and break down the standards into concepts and skills and understand the vocabulary and academic vocabulary that students need to have and learn in order to be successful. So that's step 1, we understand what we need to teach. Then we go on to module 2. And module 2 is about learning progressions. So now we know, let's map out how we're going to get there. So this is a big part of the how. We work with understanding what the scope and the sequence of the work needs to be so that students can demonstrate mastery of the standard. That's in module 2, you'll see when you go through your books. And then we get to module 3, which is shared learning intentions. So now that we've broken down the learning into a progression, now we have to break it even further into lesson-sized chunks, and we have to share with students what the learning targets are, or those learning intentions. So the difference between the progression and the intention, you could say the progression is a bigger view of a map, and the learning intentions are like the unit goals, the high-level goals for that unit of learning. Next, we'll delve into module 4, and this is really about gauging learning toward mastery. So you could consider these the individual lesson targets. So these will translate into I can statements. You've probably seen and heard a lot about those. They aren't consistently being shared in our district, but they are used pretty widely. And this is something we want to see in 100% of our classrooms. So they help students understand what the targets are for that individual lesson, and they help students be their own judge of whether or not they've mastered it. So this allows students to be fully engaged in their learning. So we're pretty excited about this path. We just want to share in the next 2 slides that for the first 3 weeks of school, Our teachers have been and always are deeply committed to building relationships with our students. So this is what's gone on in the first 3 weeks. On August 19th, teachers selected a Domain 2 element on relationships and routines that they wanted to focus on. They developed a mini action plan to support their implementation. They have selected an artifact, or in the process of preparing to select an artifact, to bring to September 29th, professional learning, and share with their colleagues. And on that day, you'll see in number 4, we will be hosting in each building a share fair where colleagues will come together. They will celebrate the work in the first 3 years of Domain 2, share their artifacts, talk about what they've learned about their students and the impact of that, and share that with each other and celebrate. So we're excited about that. And then finally, I want to share with you an overview of professional learning for the year so you can see where we're going. So you just heard me talk about September, focus on relationships and routines. In October, we will be digging deeper into domains 1 through 3, talking more about learning progressions, learning intentions. By the time we get to November and December, we'll be deep into success criteria and depth of knowledge work, making sure that the work is challenging and that we're exceeding expectations and sharing those clearly with our students. And by the time we get to January through May, we're deepening implementation, supporting, and celebrating, so that when we get to that end of May, we have a year-long celebration and we have 100% of classrooms implementing success criteria. So thank you very much for allowing that update tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Linden. Any questions for Ms. Linden?
Question. Thank you. This was exciting
Sure.
stuff. Can we go back to slide 6? I just want to make sure I understand. It's the, well, okay.
Yes.
Teacher effects, what would that be?
So teacher effects are variances between teachers. So of the 253, I could probably only share one off the top of my head this evening, but they might be differences in the ways teachers present a particular material. I use a PowerPoint presentation. I prefer to sit at the carpet and do that, round robin. You know, different ways of implementing instruction have been studied. So they've grouped those all together in something called teacher effects. But I can share with you the breakdown of what each of the 252, they actually have a really nice one-pager.
Okay.
That would be
All
lovely.
right, great. Yeah, I just wanted to understand that.
Yeah, it's
And
interesting.
Then all the way to slide 18, where we've got kind of the map of the year. How does that fit into the full day professional development days? We know
Great question.
September 28th, but then
Yes.
after that.
You bet. So September 29th is our first full day professional learning, but in between, our hardworking staff and administrators do have every Wednesday, with the exception of the fourth Wednesday, our teachers and administrators stay after school and they learn together.
Okay.
So this work is ongoing throughout the year. It's the best kind of professional learning because it's ongoing. It's not a flash in the pan presentation. So we'll have our foot on the gas together during curriculum design days, which are typically first Wednesdays, and then during staff meetings that happen on usually second and third.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then I should share with you, we're really excited for our May 5th Professional Learning Day, because that's the day we'll be coming together to recap, celebrate, share the learning together. So it's going to be an exciting day. I hope you all will come.
Yeah. I know at the beginning you mentioned, obviously, curriculum is evolving.
Yes.
We need to reach our students in different ways. There's also a requirement for teachers to get continuing professional education as well. Can you
Yes, there
just
are.
touch on how many hours they're required?
Absolutely. The state minimum is 30 hours per year that a school district must provide for our teachers. We do exceed that by quite a lot. We have a lot of voluntary opportunities for teachers to pick and choose. But when we combine the work of curriculum design days and our evening staff meetings that often are professional learning days, we do exceed our 30.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
So to tag on to that, so over a 5-year period, you have to rack up 150 to be recertified with the state. And it used to be you paid for it yourself.
It sure did.
And so now that's covered and it's built into your workday, and it's quite nice. Yeah.
I have a quick question. So that 30 hours of professional development, how does that compare across statewide? Is that
It's pretty
the norm?
common.
Is it?
Yeah, 30 hours is the state minimum, so most districts are meeting that. Some, like ours, do exceed it. I think every district offers voluntary opportunities as well. You know, Trustee Schmidt and I have talked before about Orton Gillingham training that's going on, why can I not think of the word this evening, Trustee Schmidt?
Letters?
Thank
Arts
you.
and letters, arts and
Letters
letters.
training. I kept thinking
letters,
arts and
letters
letters. Letters training, thank you very much, going on. And we had 150 of our para educators participate last summer in some training offered by the WISD, a boot camp training, which was super amazing for our paraprofessionals. So those things are going on all the time. So we're pretty proud of this county and the work that each of us do.
And K through 12 teachers will be all going through this
Yes.
professional development.
Correct. I should note that our K-5 teachers will be doing so through the lens of arts and letters, which is the new literacy curriculum that each of our K-5 educators is unpacking and implementing for the first time this year. We're proud of the fact that arts and letters has very clear learning intentions tied to every lesson and success criteria. So they'll be unpacking those in coordination with the Michigan state standards.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So I have to bring this up now. I was
Yes.
going to wait till the end, but
Please.
so I know that the teachers had that training for Unit 1,
Yes.
and I can only tell you that one of my students that I tutor has been telling me all about it. She's at BA and just over the moon, and this morning she told me about a Nobel laureate was and explained, 4th grade, explained about metaphorical language versus literal language, and I'm just sitting there with their mother, my eyes. Yeah, so it's a real
So
winner.
wonderful.
Yeah.
It's great.
Thank you for sharing that, Trustee Schmidt.
All right. Any other questions for Ms. Linden?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Linden. All right, at this time, we have Skyline Principal Casey L. Moore and also Skyline Teacher Casey Warner, who are coming to provide an update on Skyline High School's cell phone policy implementation. So we appreciate both of them being here this evening. I know Ms. Elmore and Ms. Warner have some slides that we will bring up in just a moment to get them started, and then they'll talk through their update here.
So for those of us trying to follow, should we be looking at the cell phone pilot slides or the
Ernie?
Skyline? Well, yeah, where are we?
There. Silent.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's
so that's the pilot. Thank you.
Yep.
I think it's one. So thank you. It's great to be in front of you again this evening. We would like to share a little bit about the cell phone journey that we've been on at Skyline High School and tell you the results that we've had so far. So during the 23-24 school year, we regularly collect feedback from our staff about what's going well, what's not going well, what are some of the concerns that they have. And cell phone use rose to the top of that list, overwhelmingly. And teachers reported that it was extremely time consuming for them, taking time away from instruction to manage cell phones in the classroom, that there were often power struggles that they didn't want to get into, trying to remove them from the distraction in the classroom. Lots of pieces that went along with that. So overwhelmingly, we realized this is something we need to start tackling and figuring out. So as a result, we began collecting data and looking at current research and best practice around cell phone usage and the effects of cell phone usage in the classroom. And so we did a survey. We surveyed staff, students, and parents and guardians. And then we did some focus groups as well throughout the the beginning of the 23-24 school year. And so using that data, we continued that research looking into this, but it was clear from all of these points that we had some work to do. So our Skyline leadership team, which Casey is also a part of, we drafted a policy taking into account the feedback that we received from all of our stakeholder groups, as well as the current research and best practice, and the research around the effects of cell phone use in the classroom. So we drafted a policy as a Skyline leadership team that we then tuned with the staff and throughout the remainder of, or some of the spring of 24. We finalized the policy with input from all of those groups and shared the policy with students and families in the spring of 24-25 school year, letting them know that the policy would take effect in the 24-25 school year. So this is one of the slides that we introduced students to the policy with at the beginning of last year, that there are no cell phones in the classroom, that they can be at home, they can be in your car, or they can be in the pocket chart. But those are the only three places that would be acceptable for where their cell phone should be during class time. So this is a poster that we created of our cell phone policy at a glance that we have posted in each classroom. So if we look at each of the parts of, this is kind of the main bullet points on this poster. This is not the minutia, but you have a copy of the full policy in your packet tonight. So the objective of this policy, and this is a school-based policy, so obviously we know the board creates policy. So this is a school-based policy, not a district-wide policy. The cell phones, headphones, and electronic policy is established to create a conducive learning environment by minimizing distractions and fostering student engagement during class time. And so speaking, I didn't know I was going to follow Dawn, but Ms. Linden, but some of the things she spoke about really tie into why we're doing some of this work. With the Domain 2 relationships and routines, we realized that these are some of the routines that needed to be established, and that student engagement that we're talking about in Domain 3 really was being impacted by cell phone usage in the classroom. So we made sure that students knew that if they were asked by a staff member to surrender their cell phone and or electronics, that they would be taken to the SLC office, our small learning communities at Skyline, office for storage until the remainder of the day, for the remainder of the day. And then if they continued to not comply, that we would move through progressive discipline. At the beginning of the expectation is that for storage is that at the beginning of each class, they're placed in the pocket chart. Each class has a pocket chart hanging. They have assigned pocket numbers, and so their phone goes in the assigned number pocket chart. The pocket chart is clearly labeled. There are lists of which pocket belongs to who, and all headphones, earbuds, AirPods must be out of ears and stored away for the duration of the class period. It's the responsibility of each student to place their phone in the designated pocket and put the other electronics away. It is the expectation that each student adheres to this policy. At registration last year, as well as this year, we had students acknowledge the policy during registration to make sure that they fully knew and understood the policy prior to starting the school year. And then, of course, access to phones. They don't have access to phones during the class period unless there's a specific educational requirement that the teacher wants to use them for, and then of course they would use them. Or if there is an emergency or something's going on, a student can ask, of course, for access to their phone if necessary. So when we think about consequences, we've done this in a progressive way as well, that if they don't put it in the pocket chart, or if they failure to comply the first time, it's a warning, and they put it back in the chart. And then if that continues or is a pattern of behavior, then we move through taking that for the hour, taking that for the rest of the day, having an administrator intervene, and so on and so forth. So when we think about the feedback that we received from our stakeholder groups that really drove this work, our staff overwhelmingly reported that they were a huge distraction in the classroom, as I shared. That the teachers themselves are spending too much time dealing with cell phone use and the resulting loss of engagement. They were engaging, as I said, in frequent power struggles, and students were struggling to talk to and interact with each other, which was another side effect. Overwhelmingly, 85% of the parents and guardians who responded to our survey felt that there should be some restrictions on cell phone use at school. And our students, while by far not the most excited about this policy, about 82% of them, though, did acknowledge that cell phones were some level of distraction in the classroom. However, again, they were less supportive than staff and parents and guardians of us moving forward with this work. So during implementation of the 24-25 school year, we again collected feedback on how things were going, people's responses to the implementation, and teachers reported that the cell phone policy was having a huge impact on classroom environments and that they were seeing increased engagement and student interactions. So much so that many of them said that they had to relearn how to teach because for so long cell phones had been such a distraction in the classroom that they had gotten into some habits and routines that they now didn't have to use because now students were interacting again. Teachers reported that some students were still struggling to comply and that there was some inconsistent implementation across the classrooms as we worked out some of the bugs. Most parents were ecstatic and told us how happy they were with the implementation of the policy, got standing ovations at open house and other things. So parents were extremely supportive. Many students grumbled initially and still do, but then after experiencing class without the distraction of the cell phones, they do appreciate how much more focused they are in class. So a lot of the feedback that we get, again, not from all students, but many of them report that they get more work done and have less work to do at home because they're using their class time more effectively and efficiently. So for this year, our moving into our second year, we only made one minor adjustment. As we talked about the consistency of implementation, we wanted to make sure that that was more consistent for all of our classrooms. And so this year we started taking attendance by the cell phone pockets in the chart. So when they walk in, the first thing they do is place their phone in the pocket chart, and that's how teachers are taking attendance, which has proven to be a really great next step for us. That's proving to be even more effective and consistent across classrooms. And then I collected some feedback over the last week from our teachers and our students just to get some current feedback on how people were feeling. So you have in your packet also just a more full list of some of the feedback that I collected. But just to highlight a few, some of the comments include that it allows, these are from teachers, that it allows for more conversation. Students have been more focused, interactive, and collaborative. And I am a less distracted teacher because I no longer have to stop instruction every few minutes to manage someone's phone use. That it's highly beneficial to student learning and engagement. We have to unlearn addictive behaviors and relearn how to engage and learn from each other. That students are more attentive to the curriculum, more social with their peers, and more in tune with themselves emotionally and mentally. Positive game changer for both students and staff. There's some on this slide. This one, these teachers talk about improved focus and academic engagement, healthier classroom culture, early identifying and recognition of learning needs because students aren't able to hide behind their cell phones, and it helps the teacher to reach out and support them sooner rather than later. Additionally, that students listen, engage, read, talk, communicate, collaborate a lot more because they do not default to their phone as soon as they are done working or if they feel uncomfortable with a new partner. They're forced to sit with those feelings and own them and work through them and fill the void with something more rewarding or academic. And this teacher said it makes teaching enjoyable again too. Another teacher said it's extremely effective in making phone distractions a minor or non-existent issue. Students are more engaged in learning and interacting with each other, less frustrating as a teacher. Previous year's lessons were constantly interrupted and tensions could be high due to conflicts with students who were playing games or watching videos on their phone. Another one says it has greatly reduced the stress that I have during class time as I began to become a police officer, going around catching kids trying to hide their phones. So those are some teacher voices, and I'll give Casey an opportunity to speak as well in a few minutes. So gathering some voices from our students, which aren't as resoundingly positive as from our staff. However, and this was just kind of a quick survey that we sent out to get some feedback for you tonight, some current feedback. The first question was, while I may not love the cell phone policy, I can see how it helps eliminate distractions in the classroom. And 74% of our students said yes. I find myself less distracted in classes with my cell phone not available. 47% said they agree. Do you feel more connected to classmates and teachers without phones being used during class? And 36% agreed with that. And then we have some student comments as well, just more open-ended responses that students had, which, are both positive and some critical as well. Here are some, again, that our students are amazingly intelligent and they bring some amazing ideas and thoughts. And so one student talked about how they grayscaled their phone years ago and they haven't struggled with phone withdrawal for a while now. And that there needs to be some kind of work outside of the classroom as well in order for students to stop being addicted to their phones. Some students feel like it doesn't change anything, and that they're still worrying about their cell phone even if they don't have it. Others think it's just not helpful at all and they'd rather have their phone with them. And they feel like the students who don't follow should have to put it in the pocket chart, but the students who follow it and keep it in their bag shouldn't have to, which essentially is what we were doing before, which wasn't working. It was creating a lot of problems. And then other people ask for it to be optional, again, as long as your grades and assignments are turned in. So, more student voices. I just wanted to make sure that these were brought to the surface and raised for you to understand kind of, how all of our students are feeling. While some are supportive, some still continue to have some challenges with the policy. They are complying, but they don't love it. But some of them do. And then I'd like to give Casey just a quick opportunity to speak about her experience with the cell phone policy in her classroom. She's been one of the early adopters and has helped guide some of this work.
Thank you so much for having me tonight. I will just say, from a teacher perspective, it is so hard to teach when those kids are on cell phones, especially since COVID, because we moved to Schoology, and so we have all of our slides and resources posted online. And the number of times I would walk around my classroom and kids would have their cell phone propped up behind their computer that I wouldn't even know if they were on their they didn't necessarily have it on their lap, because I could tell, but they would just prop it up behind their computer and it looked like they were taking notes or doing something on their screen, and it was, they were watching a Friends episode or something like that. The amount of time that us teachers were putting into managing that and the ways the kids were finding around it was exhausting. And really there was a decline in classroom interaction between the students, because whenever they would finish something, they just immediately went to their phones. They need time to just talk, ask questions, have those conversations. So since the cell phone policy has been implemented, I absolutely love it. I don't have a problem with compliance, and I haven't ever had to take a kid's phone. Once in a while, I will say, hey, I take attendance with it. So I'll say, hey, number 12, where's your phone? And they'll walk over there. Oh, sorry, I put it in the wrong one, or oh, I forgot. It's so fast and so easy. And what I find is that they're talking more to each other and they're much more engaged in class. So I love it. I think it's super fast and super easy. I think it took us, time to collaborate as a staff to figure out what worked. And really, I was talking with my homeroom, my SkyTime students today, and one student was really against it. And then I said, well, okay, what would be better? And he was like, yeah, I guess it's really not that bad. He was so vocal, and he was like, yeah, okay, I don't know. I said, well, what's so bad about it? What? And he, I don't know. I just want to have it. And I was like, okay, well, but we wouldn't be having this conversation if you were on your phone. And he was like, yeah, I guess you're right. So anyways, it's fantastic. And so I'm love being a part of it. And I thank, Miss Elmore for bringing this to our school. It's great.
A couple of other details. We're talking about Skyline, but I understand, all of us understand community concerns, parent concerns, educator concerns about cell phone use in class. And so I do want to make sure that the narrative about cell phone use in our schools is accurate. Our schools aren't waiting for a creation of a policy or anything like that to address the issue of cell phones in schools. Much like Skyline has done, Huron High School has followed the same exact steps as Skyline, and they're doing about the same timeline almost under Miss Elmore's collaboration with her high school colleagues. So they have full implementation at Huron this year, beginning this year, with the pocket charts and everything. Right now, Pioneer, they are working through a similar process, surveying families, students, staff, and they have gotten that part done, and they are working with their early adopters. Ms. Warner talked about early adopters. So they're not quite as far along just yet as Skyline and Huron, but they are working with their early adopters, and really they report that it's the majority of their staff who have opted to use the caddies and charts to have their students put the phones in there. So schools aren't waiting to address this, and they have been addressing this. And so I just wanted to make sure that the narrative around that is accurate. Middle schools, the middle school policy is out of the classrooms, except with teacher permission, like Ms. Elmore talked about. They usually keep it in their lockers or their backpack. Anything else you would add, Ms. Warner or Ms. Elmore? Ms. Elmore, could you talk about a little bit about, because I can anticipate that there would be question here, the attendance, the tweak that you made this year regarding attendance. What if a student doesn't have a cell phone? How does that get handled in the classroom?
Sure. So I just wanted to point out real quick before I speak to that students have access to their phones before school, during passing times, at lunch, and obviously after school. So it's just during classroom instruction that they don't have access to their phones. Obviously, not every student has a cell phone. So at the beginning of the year, teachers kind of, as they were getting to know their students, figured out who doesn't have a cell phone and wouldn't be bringing a cell phone to school each day. And so they come up with alternate methods. Typically, it's like a card that they have that they stick in that pocket to say that they're here. And so they have alternate methods for attendance as well if they don't have cell phones, because not all of our students do.
Questions for Ms. Warner or Ms. Elmore?
Jessica?
Thank you. Ladies, first of all, thank you for sharing this and making the time. And I have to say to my colleagues, I felt like we were the last to know because it came out in the news, it came out in the Observer, it came on television. But we get you in person live and to ask the questions directly. So again, thank you for going out of your making time out of your busy schedule for us. So appreciate it. Overall, I want to say I appreciate the process. You mentioned you started with the staff, the students, and the buy-in. You created the buy-in before implementing the rule, which I so appreciate, and it probably helps with the compliance.
Absolutely.
We have seen, of course, in other situations where the rule comes out and nobody understands why. You have the battles, et cetera, et cetera. So appreciate you modeling, if you will, for some of your colleagues. My question, you have the feedback from the students and the teachers. Have you gotten any feedback, formal feedback from parents? Haven't seen that yet and would be interested in that. As well as, would you make any recommendations for the younger students? I am just amazed, I have to say, as an old fart now, as I'm told, as a parenting, the number of little kids with cell phones. And as much as parents have demanded the school district to set up policies, I'm shopping at Myers and I see babies with cell phones. I mean, it's like they've started to, create the addiction. Instead of the pacifier, you've got the cell phone. So what would you recommend? Again, if you could speak to the parental feedback you may have gotten, as well as recommendations for the younger kids, schools, elementary, I hate to say it.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely collected feedback from parents over the time. I have not collected any from parents this year yet. So I could easily do that. I just needed a little bit more time to do that. But as far as, they've been very supportive. Like parents overwhelmingly have been supportive. And I think, we're looking to partner with parents as well to make sure that it's not just a school responsibility, that this is a parental responsibility, and even educate them about some of the, apps and resources that are available through cell phone companies that can restrict usage during certain hours of the day or shut off certain features of phones by parents, which is a proactive measure that they can take So we want to partner with them. We definitely don't want to be the ones kind of being responsible for cell phone usage, but we definitely want to partner with parents and find ways that they can be more educated about the resources that are out there. But they've been very supportive, extremely supportive. And I think it's something that a lot of parents struggle with as well, as trying to figure out how to manage the cell phone at home with their students who, just like at school, don't really want to comply with that. As far as elementary, I would leave that to the experts, all of you, Superintendent Parks, the elementary experts. Definitely high school is my zone. And so I will leave that to the experts to speak to the elementary babies.
I will offer that elementary, in general, when students have cell phones in elementary school, they are much like middle school, expected to keep them away in their backpack or locker for the day.
And if I could just say, I don't have statistics, but every time I've had parent-teacher conferences or the open house that we had at the start of the year, I have parents thank me for the cell phone policy. I mean, it's overwhelming support.
Thank you.
So I have one question about the watches. How's that working?
I mean, to be honest, we haven't had tons of issues with the watches, so it hasn't been something that we've tackled really. If it starts to become an issue, then we'll look at it. But at this point, it hasn't risen to the level of
Okay.
a need.
Yes.
I just have a couple comments. So I have a senior at Skyline, proud dad of a senior, and I will say he's very much into his cell phone, but also appreciative of the policy and the change. Does feel more engaged, and I can say I get less, like 0 texts from him throughout the day now, which is a good sign. No, not even that one.
You're not a priority, trustee.
So,
I hate to tell you. He's texting somebody.
So I think it's a win. I do appreciate Ms. Parks also adding on about middle school and elementary as well, because I do think we've heard a lot from the community, and it seems that we don't have implementation of policies and standards across the district because we don't have something defined at the board level, but in fact, we do have limitations on cell phone usage. So what we do with this as a board, of course, is up to us as we go forward. But I think that's a really important piece of information. And then I also do appreciate, the buy-in piece and the process and the evolution, making sure you're accommodating students, but also getting to where we need to be as a district and school. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Yes, Trustee Wilkins?
I had a question about the policy and where it came from. Did you look at other districts for language to use, or were there other examples that you started with, or how did that come about?
I think we didn't necessarily look at other districts' policies. We kind of looked at the research and kind of what that was telling us, and then we drafted a policy based on that.
Great.
And based on knowing our community and what was going to be a reasonable ask that wasn't going to create more headache than was necessary, right? Like, I think we had a goal we wanted to accomplish, and the policy came out of that research and what we knew we wanted to accomplish in the least intrusive way that we could.
Fantastic.
Trustee Wilkerson?
Yeah, I do have one other question, a little bit broader topic, but I just wanted to know if we could get a quick update on how the MacBook has been and if students have been positive on it. I know from my own personal family experience, but.
Yeah, I think the piece of equity that it has provided is huge. I think that all students having a high quality, highly effective device in front of them that is, the newest and best on the market has been huge. I think there's also a lot of nice security features on it that have allowed some pieces to be a little bit more controlled. And I'll let Casey speak to in the classroom what that's looked like.
It's nice that the students are all on the same device because we had students that were bringing devices from home before. They're faster and they're more reliable. I mean, the Chromebooks were getting old. It's fantastic. The students have already learned how to do so much with them and feel very comfortable with them. So it's, I think, been fantastic. And again, it's equitable. They all have the same thing. They all can share their chargers if they left theirs at home. I mean, it's consistency is fantastic.
Thank you.
We're also doing some mini lessons during our SkyTime advisory period to teach them about the features that the MacBook has, because there are so many accessibility features and other things that students can use to help them in their studies. And so we're also doing a series of those throughout the year during our advisory period to make sure they know what it can do and know how to use it.
Well, I just have a quick comment.
go ahead.
Well, it's great to see that we approve these MacBooks and that they're being used in a great way in the classroom. And I also want to just commend you on this pilot that you've conducted. So it's been going on for a year?
This is the second year.
This is the second year, okay. And I guess Superintendent Parks, based on the outcome and based on what the board suggests, this could go forward, I guess, further. And
You mean
become-
like district-wide?
So Skyline is continuing with it. Is that what you mean?
It's going to be ongoing?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
got it.
Mhm,
That's what I was wondering. Okay.
And the same process that Ms. Elmore and her team use at Skyline, the other two comprehensive high schools are using also.
Okay.
So
All
it's
right.
grown in that way. It's expanded in that way.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Yeah, and that concludes the superintendent update this evening.
I kind of lost my spot here. If we can move to item 9.2, the Recreation Advisory Commission RAC nominations.
All right, we have Ms. Bacalor coming up.
You're back.
She's back.
Hello, it's me again. So you see me once a year, once every other year, maybe coming to you about the Recreation Advisory Commission. As I think you're all familiar, this is a commission that is that was founded in 1957. It's composed of 6 appointees from the school board and 6 from the city council. And the purpose of it is to discuss recreational matters. Over the years, it has become more seated with Rec and Ed, but we maintain these 12 voting members. So tonight I have 2 nominees for you. The Recreation Advisory Commission Membership Committee reviews applications and selected 2. It is Claire Lawande, who's a Lawton parent with educational and professional background in recreation, and she's participated with her child in some of our early childhood programs. And Larry O'Connell, who's a longtime youth sports coach. His kids have graduated from U of M, and he's currently an adult class participant. I meant to say graduated from AAPS. All right, so the recommendation is to appoint these, for you all to vote to appoint these 2 candidates to REC.
Okay, so I believe that that's moved down to action, or do we do that at this point? Let me see here. On the consent.
This is a
agenda.
first briefing.
Pardon me?
It's a first briefing unless the trustees would like to move it to.
Yeah,
REC.
typically they just vote when I come.
I was about to say, this item, I think it's the delegate is first briefing, but I think this item is just a vote.
Okay. So do I hear a motion? Oh, yep.
I'll motion to approve the candidates requested or suggested.
Okay, moved by trustee Wilkerson,
Second.
seconded by trustee Wilkins. Any discussion? Yes.
I just want to say thank you to the folks who've stepped up. So appreciate their commitment to our district by giving up even more time, especially to Mr. O'Connell. I mean, that's great, having been with us, it seems like his whole life. So again, please thank your committee for coming forward with such good recommendations, and I see no reason for us not to support them. They have been supporting us. Thank you.
Okay.
I have one quick question. How many applicants did you receive for these two positions?
I think we had 7 or 8. This isn't a committee that people clamor to get on.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm just going to be honest. There isn't a lot of power. It's not like the Parks Advisory Commission. But we do have a connection to that commission. We have a delegate from RAC to it. So I think that we haven't had very many controversies in recreation for a long time. That was when people really were seeking to be on it. So we enjoy, though, having public input into Rec and Ed programs. And in fact, sometimes we have a subgroup look at, really investigate a certain Rec and Ed area. And in the spring, we had a subgroup of RAC and then a couple others who, and some internal staff who really looked at our childcare program. So a lot of what we're moving forward with this year comes out of that committee. That included finance staff, RAC members, a former board trustee, and some others.
And this is a voluntary position.
It is. Yes, we provide snacks out of our Rec and Ed budget,
snacks, right.
not out of the general fund, just they get some cheese and crackers.
Thank you.
I used to be assigned to the committee from the board, cheese and crackers, other things. It's very good.
Thank you.
Okay, how about we take a vote?
Moved by Wilkerson, second by
Wilkins?
Trustee Basquette.
Yes.
Trustee Schmidt.
Yes.
Trustee Wilkerson.
Yes.
Trustee Wilkins.
Yes.
Trustee Wilkes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Bachelor. Let's move to first briefing, 10.1, considering MASB voting delegates. We're looking at deciding amongst us who will be the delegates. The delegate assembly begins Thursday, October 23rd at 7 p.m. at the Grand Traverse Resort and Spa in Acme. Delegates selected by boards of education across the state will decide MASB's positions on a wide variety of issues affecting education, as Ms. Pilgrim spoke about this evening. All delegates and alternates must be school board members. Only delegates and alternates named by the board may offer motions and vote on issues. However, all school board members may speak on the issues and participate in the debate. We need up to 4 delegates, and 4 alternates can be designated based on the size of our school district. The board is required to certify delegates through action at a board meeting, and we will submit the names to MASB portal by October 2nd. If no trustees can attend in Traverse City, there is no need to move this on. So we need some discussion here about who would like to be a delegate. Is there anybody attending the meeting up in Grand Traverse? Oh, wow, we got 4 people. Look at that.
Yeah, and
But they
I'm
won't be there
actually
Thursday.
interested in being a delegate.
I
Oh,
think all 4 of you should be delegates.
yeah.
Since
So,
you're there anyway.
mhm.
Simple thought.
So it looks like, hold on a minute. We have to, okay, so the motion, if you look at our agenda, I need a motion then. We have a suggested motion to designate trustees, and we would need name 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if you 4 are going to be there,
I can make the motion.
if you'd like to make the motion with these 4 names. and
Okay,
then-
so
Is that, Ms. Osinski, are you good with that? I mean, okay, you're
You have,
going.
you have to be there Thursday.
I
Thursday
won't-
night.
Thursday by 7. Okay.
Yes.
Thursday, yeah. I'm
So
gonna be there.
I know that Trustee Wilkins and Trustee Wilkes are there, but not Thursday at this point. I don't know of any other trustees that are attending.
Okay, all right. I won't be, but if we can't, so you need, so who's going to be there
So
on?
if Trustee Wilkins can attend on Thursday.
Yeah, I will be there Thursday as well.
Wilkes can. Wilkins cannot.
Wilkins cannot, Wilkes can. What do you got?
I believe, I plan to be there
On Thursday?
Thursday.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Okay,
And-
trustee Wilkerson, you'll need to get with me so that we
Yeah,
can
yeah.
get you.
Yep.
Trustee Basquette, will you be there Thursday?
I plan to. Thank you.
Okay.
Quick question. So if we currently have 3 trustees who are confirmed, who are planning to be there on Thursday, just give the names of 3?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Should we be mindful, though, we do have 2 trustees who are not here who may want the opportunity? Has anyone indicated their interest who is not here?
Ms. Osinski, any,
Okay. I didn't think so, but I just wanted
This
to cover.
is first brief. Oh, right?
That's
So
true.
We'll
Yeah.
vote on it next.
Yeah, this is really just
That's
first
true.
briefing. It can be first briefing, the board can move it, but if you wanted to wait for the other 2 who aren't here.
We have
your
time.
next
which will be
meeting-
next Wednesday, so
Yeah,
we
we
can
have
look
time.
at it again.
If-
Okay, so perhaps a motion with the names that we know will be there.
Okay, well,
At
let's,
this time.
I think that we should wait
Oh,
27th. This is really just a first brief.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so we could wait 27th and get everybody's input on Thursday.
Okay.
Go from there.
You mean the
Sounds like a
17th?
plan.
17.
Trustee Basquette.
Yeah, I was just going to speak. I've had some
17.
questions regarding, so I want to be a voting delegate. What does this mean? Past experiences, it really depends on the political climate, the issues that are being brought forth. So trustees, you will get, if you choose to be a delegate, actually, even if you don't choose to be a delegate, you will be able to see the positions being presented at this meeting. In past years, it can be pretty mundane. Crowd is fine. It's a, consent vote, and you're out of there in 15 minutes. Everyone goes to a lovely dinner, right? There have been contentious meetings, which has been very interesting, especially as a new person going like, wow, our views here in Ann Arbor, Michigan, it's very different from some other parts of the state. So there may be conversation about it. Again, I think the most entertaining ones are those who, people are really passionate about it. And it's like, hey, for us here, it's a no-brainer, but it does mean something different for other people. So it really depends on the issue. But I wouldn't spend, as a trustee, your one vote out of how many, delegates at the meeting. There's no quiz, if you will. If you do have questions, of course, regarding an issue, as Ms. Pilgrim said, you can always call her, another trustee. So don't stress, I guess. Enjoy the moment, if you will. It's a great opportunity, especially if you come early, to visit with other districts, again, to get to know one another and how, what happens to the state affects all of us. So just wanted to let everyone know that.
Okay, any other comments? So we'll move that to the August 17th meeting?
September.
September 17th
17th,
meeting,
yep.
with hopes that everyone will be in attendance, have that conversation and that vote. All right, if we can move to item 11, the consent agenda. I'm going to read this because I'm just for the public's sake. Our adopted rules of parliamentary procedure, or Robert's rules, provide for a consent agenda listing several items for approval of the board by a single motion. Items listed under the consent agenda have gone through board subcommittee review and recommendation. Documentation concerning these items has been provided to all board members and the public in advance to assure an extensive and thorough review. Items may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any board member. We are now at the consent agenda. Ms. Osinski, will you please read the consent agenda?
Approved minutes from the August 27th, 2025 regular. Approved minutes from the August 13th, 2025 closed session. Approve a donation, Lawton Elementary, $1,000 donation from the Thrasher Family Fund. And approve a closed session at 6 p.m. on September 17th, 2025.
Okay, would anyone like to remove any item from the consent agenda? All right, do I have a motion?
So move.
Moved by trustee Wilkes,
Second.
second by trustee Wilkerson. Let's vote.
Trustee Basquette,
Yes.
Vice President Schmidt,
Yes?
Trustee Wilkerson,
Yes.
Trustee Wilkins.
Yes.
Trustee Wilk.
Yes.
Motion.
Okay, we move to item 12, board action. At this time, we have nothing listed under board action. Item 13, items for agenda planning. Do we have any of those I need to take note of? Okay, let's go to items 14, items from the board. Seeing none, we're at item 15. This is adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn by voice vote? Or do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Oh.
Second.
Okay, moved by trustee Wilkerson, seconded by trustee Basquette. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.
Thank you, folks.